And we'll do a little project once we can get it going here. It has been that kind of day. There are sirens outside now. It's one of those whatever could go wrong will go wrong kind of days. So I'm just taking the back off of my frame. This is just a little cheat for me instead of having to get out my ruler, which honestly would probably at this point be quicker. But I will take the frame piece out of the back of the frame and I'll bring it over onto my paper. That corner is not good. So let's see. And I am going to line this up and I will get the perfect size paper that will fit in my frame. So I'll just line that up nice and square at the corner. I'll use my pencil and just ever so lightly, I'm going to just trace around that. And we'll cut that out real quick. So if you do come on, please say hello. You could type hello down in the comments. If you catch this on a replay or another time when we are not live, I would love it if you would just drop the number 2 in the comments. That lets me know that you came back to watch and said hello. So I am really excited because I have been working on something behind the scenes and I just opened something that I'm calling the Brush and Script Society. I'm really excited about it. So it's a place where I am going to teach hand lettering, some beginner watercolor, some painting, some things like that. But it's a nice little group, and every month we practice and learn brush lettering. But I also give tracers every month and worksheets for so all the work is done. All right, so we'll talk about that more shortly. But here's my piece of paper for oh my, yes, I can speak. Here is my piece of paper for my watercolor, and I'm just going to grab my tape, whatever one I have sitting around. I don't have any painter's tape left at the moment, but I think I'll just use this. I'm going to get 2 pieces of it. I'm going to try to somewhat just keep that straight there. Okay, and I'm just going to block off the center of my paper there. So I'm just masking so that if when I paint over that, it will deflect the paint and the paint will not sit on here. But this is where I was saying the tracers that I'm developing, this is just one sheet. We cut this up because we did a project with the saying the other day, chicks rule. So we used the tracer and transferred it onto a little wooden chick and made a really simple and easy Easter spring craft. And we're going to do the same thing. So this is one of those papers that you can get in the Brush and Script. And this is what I call a fun pun sheet, or, you know, just a fun saying sheet. So I've got things on here like hippity hoppity, the word Easter, hanging with my peeps, you know what I mean, jelly bean, shake your bunny tail, for Peeps' sake. So there's just some cute little sayings that you can learn to brush letter with. So we're gonna go and just practice our lettering skills, and all of these small ones are made to work with the smaller feued markers. And if you are a follower of mine for any length of time, you know that I am a lefty, so I can teach you lefties how to letter, right? I'm also able to show my right-handed people how to hold that pen and do as well. It may not come out quite as gorgeous because I am not right-handed, but I can show you how to do it as well. So we're going to use a saying from here. And I think we're going to do hanging with my peeps, or we could do, no, we should do either hanging with my peeps or oh for peeps sake. So who's watching here with me live? If you are watching, hey Kevin, hi Darren. Let me know which you think we should put on this. Alexis, are you watching?
Viewers so far.
Okay. Are you watching, sweet girl?
Yeah.
Which saying should we use? So let's do hanging with my peeps, because I think that's a cute, bright, and kind of simple one that we could do. Actually, I'm just going to use one width of this tape. So we're going to take, maybe, I'm going to bend my paper. I'm going to take this off. So let me get that off. How is everybody? There we go. Take that off. It usually doesn't stick that hard, but of course, because we are on a live. So I'm just gonna think, what do little peeps look like? So I just, I absolutely love Easter peeps for the holidays. So I'm just going to, maybe I'll do 3 of them. So we'll draw like a little circle, and I'll do 3 little circles kind of right next to each other. Try to get them around the same size, and you can just sketch it, but you don't have to be perfect with it. And then I'm going to just draw right over my tape, because that would be right about where I would put it's almost like a triangle, but a little bit goes in a bit. And I'm just going to do some rounded little triangle blocks to do their bodies. And again, doesn't have to be perfect. Peeps are little marshmallow bunnies, right? And then they have just some little round ears. So we'll do that. So we'll just sketch some little ears. And people who are in my Brush and Script Society for lettering and painting will get a template already loaded for them inside of group, so they do not have to do they don't have to sketch. That's what I love about this new group, is that a lot of the hard work is already done for you. Oh, that's nice. Scuba Steve, aren't you sweet? Aren't you sweet, Scuba Steve? Anyhow, we're just gonna keep on painting. Okay, so we've got our little bunnies kind of sketched. I'm just gonna get my paint. I'm gonna wet 3 different colors of paint. So we're gonna go with a nice, pretty, we're gonna go with a pink. Let's go with a pink. We'll go with a purple. I'm not sure which purple I want to use. And we will go with a nice, pretty blue. So I'm just going to wet those colors down, pull some over here. That's a pretty purple. And here's our pink. We'll put some of that over here. And our blue. We'll also pull some of that over. we're just going to really easily basically we'll start at this end, and I'm just going to fill in with a little bit of water those shapes that we have drawn or sketched, and we'll just go right over. You don't have to worry. We've put the tape down to kind of block that, and I'm just going to start on this side. I've got, the paper is wet, but it's not making big puddles. It's not soaking wet. So, alrighty. And then, let's see, what color? We'll do purple here on the end. So I'm going to grab some of that purple, and I am just going to just lay some of that purple on the bunny around the edges, and I might pick up a little bit more water and just kind of help that pull around the bunny. You can leave some areas darker, leave some white space. White space always looks really good when you are painting watercolor. Okay, so see how simple, so simple. I'm gonna wash my brush, and I'm just gonna come over here and do the same thing to the other side. We're gonna skip the middle one, because if we do all three together, the colors are all just gonna mix. If you want that, then that's great, but we're gonna try to avoid that a little bit here today. Okay. So I don't want the pink. We're going to do this one. It's going to be the blue one. So we're going to grab some of that blue, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to start laying some of that color down. You can start one side and pull to the other, but my paper is all still damp. It's not soaking wet, but damp, remember. And that paint will do what watercolor does. It's going to flow wherever it's wet. It will flow. I picked up a little bit of purple in that swipe, so that bunny has a little tiny bit of purple there on the edge, but that's fine, right? So I'm going to now come over and grab my hair dryer, because with watercolor, we know if wherever it is wet, the colors will spread. So let me dry this really quickly. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because like I said, if the colors do start to bleed just a little bit, I'm fine with that. So this middle one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just wet the paper inside of the bunny peep shape, right? I know peeps, it can look like the little ducks, they can look like the bunnies. We're obviously doing the little bunnies. So now I'm going to come over and grab some of that really pretty pink, and I'm fine with it not being too watered down, and I'm going to just start laying that color down. Make sure you leave a little bit of white space here and there with watercolor. The paper is damp, so that color is going to spread, so you don't have to worry about getting every single bit of the paper as long as it is damp. So I'll just fill some of that in a bit and let that, Emma, I want to pull some of that brighter pink back up, and I'll pull it down through. Okay, so very simple, 3 little bunnies. I'm going to dry this again really quickly. Let's dry this. are you doing in there? All right, so our little peeps are dry. Let me move this to the side. We'll pull this over a little bit so that we're more centered. And now that this is still warm, I am going to just slowly peel this tape off. If you ever go, just a little tip, if you ever go to peel your tape and it starts to stick really hard, like you can't get it, instead of ripping your paper, hi Melanie, thank you for popping on. I am so sorry I forgot to text you because I was running late as usual. So if you can never get your tape off, heat it up. Grab your heat tool. Grab your heat tool, and that should help you pull the paper off a little bit easier, right? So we did a resist with the tape. We've got our 3 little colored peeps there. Right, and again, I'm going to pull out those tracer sheets. Now, if you would like to get a set of tracer sheets, I will put a link in the description below that you could come over and join our group, the Brush and Script Society, and you will get not only this tracer, but every other tracer that's there, right? So again, you're going to use these to learn lettering, but we can also use these to make some ready to go artwork. So hold on, let's see. And I can use this and get a piece of, I'll show you with this. So I have a piece of transfer paper, carbon paper, and Lexi, what saying did we decide we were going to use? Hanging with my peeps. So I think I'm going to put hanging with my in here, and then we'll do peeps down here. So I'm going to use this as a reference, but just to show you what you could do is maybe just, you could cut this out, just like I said we cut the other one out, and you could put that, I'll just go ahead and show you. So I can cut this out because as long as you're a member of Brush and Script Society, you have used to use these templates, but then you can also use these templates to create your art, which you can then go ahead and sell, right? So I'm going to just line that up there. And I'm going to use this. I'm going to lift this and slide this underneath of there. And I'm going to do this very gently because I don't want this black of the carbon to get all over the place. But I'm just going to very gently try to trace this on there. And let me know below in the comments if you know how to hand letter, or if this is all new to you, right? Because if you know how to letter, all you have to do is transfer this over. And we do work on this inside of, we will be working on this inside of group, is learning where the thick lines go versus the thin lines. So if you've ever done any lettering, you know that your lines that are going up or away from yourself are all going to be a very thin line. The lines that are coming back towards yourself or down, so to say, are those thicker lines. So if you look really close, there are thick lines and there are thin lines. So wherever it's a downstroke, they're thick. Wherever there are thin lines, that's a going upward. So we can use a brush pen to do this. I think I am going to grab, I have a marker. Let's use this really bright pink one. I think it looks good as with this one, right? So, Melanie, you're a beginner. You won't be for long because I know that you are in the Brush and Script Society. So these tracers are all available to you, right? So I know I'm a lefty, but if you're right-handed, you're going to hold your pen like this, right? And this is a downstroke or it's coming back towards myself. So I'm going to press down with pressure on that pen to get that thick or thin stroke, right? So my downstroke, I'm going to press down on that pen tip and get a thick stroke. When I'm going up or away from myself, it's going to be thinner. And it will look like this if you're a lefty, right? Same thing, just different hand. I'm going to press to go down. So I want that thick, and to go back up, it's thin. Not sure I'm loving that marker. What do you think? Let's see if we can find a better color. But I do want to be able to see it. Let's see. I have bright yellow. What color would you use if you were doing this artwork for yourself? So let me know in the comments below. What color would you use? Would you use a soft pastel, or would you use bright bold color? Or would you just use the black brush letter? The black. What, sweetheart?
I would use a pink.
Pink? You like that pink? There's a pretty lavender one here too. I think this one will look nice. Lavender good, Lex?
Yeah.
So I'm going to, even though I transferred this with the pencil, when I'm going downward, I'm going to press hard on my marker to press it down. Let's see if we can come in a bit, because I know it wouldn't let me turn my camera the correct way. So that's a downward stroke, or it's pulling back towards myself. I'm back here. This one, we're going to do the same thing. I'm pressing and pulling. I can lift up. Now, when I come up or pull back away from myself, I'm going to stay on the tip of that marker, and it will give me a thin brush stroke. So I'm going to trace that, come across, and lift, right? So when I start my A, I'm going to come up and over, then I'm going to press. As I go back around and up, I'm going to lift. See how it went? We transitioned from thick to thin. This one, we're going to do the same thing. We're coming down towards myself, so we're going to press. As we come around and start to go back up, we are going to lift up and let off the pressure. Okay, every time we come down or pull back towards yourself, you're going to press down, and every time you go back up, you're going to go light. And depending on how hard you press down on that marker, that is all going to depend on how thick your line is. So down and then away, down, up, away, back down to up. And then this one's print, which is fine. I can do my print the same way. I can pull towards myself with a thick stroke, and as I'm going away, I can make it thin, down, up, thin, right? So we can do our print style the same way. I'm just going to fill this in. Does that make sense? Melanie, you would do black. I was thinking about doing black, and I thought, let me try to bust out of my typical, look, I had my black marker sitting right here ready to go. I just thought, let me try a nice bright little Easter color. So hanging with my peeps. So I don't want this to look like hang in. So maybe I will just come over here. It looked different on the sheet. So hanging with my, and then we're going to put peeps down here. So I'm not going to use the tracer to put peeps on because it's small and I want it to be quite a bit big. So I have peeps here and I want it to kind of come from this bunny maybe over to this bunny width, right? So I can look at my letters And this is part of what we're going to be doing inside of the brush and script group, is learning how to do all these things. We are going to be learning how you can look at this and then try to recreate. Well, not try, you're going to. One of my good friends, her favorite saying is, there is no try, there is do or do not. And I know that that is from a movie, but I cannot remember which. So if you do know, feel free to let me know in the comments what movie that is from, because I do not know. So I'm just kind of trying to repeat or sketch what I'm seeing here. Is it going to be perfect? Probably not. And that's okay. Puppies are starting to buff a little bit, so I will apologize ahead of time if they start to bark, right? So I'm gonna just, I'm emulating or I'm sketching. Hold on, I'll go let them out. What those letters look like. Maybe I'll just do a little exit off of that. Just, girls, that's enough. Come here. No. Right, so not too bad there, and we're using the pencil so that we can erase if we feel like we're off-centered. But I kind of figured, I forgot about my S, so I'm a little bit off the side there. Oh, and I think I was out of the camera's view. Just yell at me next time. But that's okay. Now with this one, I think it would be fun. I'm gonna come back over with my Emma. Come here, please. No bark. That's not nice. Mommy's on trying to show people how to letter. I'm just going to pull a lot of that. And if you, I don't usually like to use the pencil erasers. I usually keep one of these erasers handy off to the side because they won't rip your paper and it will just lift. They won't rip your paper and it won't smear the pencil. So you could just use these erasers and see how I lifted it to where you can probably hardly even see it. And what I'm going to do is use my watercolor, right? So brush lettering can be done with a brush pen or an actual paint brush. And really that is when I first started brush lettering, I used this brush with acrylic paint, but I also love to do it with watercolor. Now, I'm a lefty, right? So when I go this way, the chances of me putting my heel, the heel of my hand into what I'm lettering are kind of high. But I think we'll be okay. Sometimes I'll work because I've already penciled it in. I look at each letter individually. I can then come and I will letter the whole word backwards, but I won't do that today. So, or actually, you know what? I think I am going to. So I'm going to start over here and work backwards. Now, if you're right-handed, and you are to go this way, chances of you pulling your hand through that are high. So you could start and just do your word the correct or, you know, the left to right fashion. So I'm just going to get a good bit of water on my paintbrush. I have a little bit of color. I'm going to come up and around with that brush. And I'm just going to trace those pencil lines that I put in. I don't have to do it perfectly, right? Because I can erase and I can paint over. Now you'll see with my down stroke here, when I came down with this brush, just like with the pen, I pushed down on it, I applied pressure, and I got a thicker stroke on the coming down of that, right? And I'll show that to you again. I'll show that to you again right here. If I stay on the tip, I get a nice thin line. But if I press down on that brush, I get a thicker stroke. I don't have a lot of water on here. So I'm going to get a little bit more water. and any of my downstrokes I can press. It takes a little bit more practice per se than using the brush because you have a little bit less control. Brushes are much easier to start with, but don't be intimidated to use, or I should say the brush markers are easier to start with, but don't be intimidated to try with the paintbrush, right? So you can use the watercolor and you get a whole different look. So I used some blue, then I'm blending it in with the purple. I think I'm going to dip in now and use some of that really pretty pink again. Sorry about my puppies, guys. We decided to go live. Hey, Dior Design. Hi, Debbie. Thank you for joining me. So we're lettering a little bit here on Facebook. I'm letting everyone know that tracers are only available to you guys that are inside of the Brush and Script group, but we are using some of the templates just for inspiration. And we did paint so 3 little peeps hanging with and right now we are putting in the word peeps. So I'm kind of here and there, right? And I do that because when we're lettering, we're not using our regular hand lettering. And I want you to start learning to look at letters. Each individual letter is its own little piece of artwork, right? So I've got my pink and that got a little bit bright, but it's all right. I'm going to pull some of that into the next E. Let's get a little bit more water, and I am just going to blend that pink and that purple together a little bit better. I'll pull some of that purple, which is why I love to do this with watercolor, right? If you take the time to learn it with the actual brush and playing with the watercolor is so satisfying. So I'm going to use these same 3 colors. So I'm going to repeat again now and go back to my blue. So let me grab, I think, no, it was this blue, I think. Which blue did we use? We used this blue. All right, so I'm going to get some water on that and just carefully with the tip of that paintbrush, just like the tip of a marker, we can just come around and trace those pencil lines. But once you get the hang of doing this with the brush, you can then press down on those down strokes, those coming back around strokes, and get your thick downstroke line, right? So I can pull that blue and have that blend in to my pink. I can darken it in some spots. And I am so sorry about these puppies. Usually they're not this much of a pain in the patootie. I'm back to my purple. So I'm going to do the thick, the down. I break up all of my letters, right? So when I look at the words, I look at them as a whole, but then I break it down. When you break anything down into its parts, it's so much easier. So I'm only concentrating on what I've already put on this paper are a bunch of just curvy lines, right? And then when I'm looking at those curvy lines, I know that any of those lines that I'm pulling this brush back around, back towards myself or downward are going to be thick. So I can come back and I can thicken that stroke or that line. The rest I'm going to leave thin. So right here I have another thick downstroke, and I'm just going to finish this off with a little bit more of my bright purple, my bright pink. And again, I'm just using my Meylang watercolors. You can use anything that you might have. If you do not have watercolor, feel free to do this with markers. You can also, I should have some videos about it, but you can also use your brush markers as watercolor. That's always a fun thing to do, right? So that purple and that pink are going to kind of come together there, and we're going to have a nice blend on the word peeps. So let me zoom out again, and we'll put the whole picture right there, right? The coloring is a lot brighter in real life. Like, the camera is not really picking it up wholeheartedly. But if you look at this, right, it's still wet. Still wet. This is really wet. So I want to just carefully dry this. If I want to come back in, which I like to do, you could leave this and say you're done, right? This is done. Dry it, pop it in the frame, and you're good. You've got a cute little piece of Easter art. You could do this on a small scale. You could do this on a big scale, right? Last thing, you could actually use the lettering templates and do them with acrylic as well. So you're not limited just to watercolor. I'm going to dry this pretty good. Bear with me just a second. So tell me, guys, if you were to do this on your own, right? Melanie said she would use like black to write her letters. Would you have done this? And I want you to let me know in the comment section. Would you have done this with the bunny peeps or with the little chick peeps, right? Because you could have done them with either. But I don't know why. I like the bunnies better than I like the little ducks when it comes to my peeps. Does it make a difference, or would you prefer to do this with ducks? But those of you who are inside of the Brush and Script Academy will get an extra template added to your hub this evening of the 3 little bunnies, just in case you would like to have that. So I can come in here with my marker. I can use my brush letter marker. As long as everything is dry on this paper, you would not have any problem using this. But if this gets wet, it will run. Again, you can use these markers to watercolor. So just make sure everything on your paper is nice and dry. So I can come in here really, I like to do like a loosey-goosey with my hands, right? So I'm using just my fingers, and instead of holding it down real close, I'm gonna hold it way at the top. I don't wanna have really good control, because what I'm gonna do is just I'm just gonna wiggle around my bunny, right? I'm gonna wiggle around my 3 little bunnies. I'm not worried about going in or outside the lines. I can put a few little dots here and there. I can add some little lines almost to make them look, it's just whimsical, right? I can lift and add a few dots. And this is completely optional. I'm going to skip that middle, right? So I'll put a few of those little lines in there. I just kind of like that little look. And it can go inside. This is where it's okay to go outside the lines, right? We spent so many years being told, stay inside the lines. I want you to go outside the lines. Have some fun. Have some fun with your bunnies, right? And then I'm going to leave it at that. But what do you guys think? Would you give this a shot? So basically then all I am going to do with this is take what I've just painted. I don't have the little things off of my frame, but I'm going to take my little frame that I got at the dollar store. You could thrift a cute little frame. You might have a frame already at the house. I want to pop it right inside. I'm going to pop it right inside, and I'm just going to put my little $6 frame back in. And look, it's still brand new. I bought this just for this. Do you love Jesus? Oh, Andrea, no problem. It's okay. Sorry you're late, but you can always come back and watch. Now, I'm sorry about my light. It's giving it a bit of a glare, but this is just a little quick and easy way you could make some Easter. This would be so pretty sitting on like a side table as someone walks into your home with a great big vase full of tulips or something for Easter. I could just see this sitting on the table. It's nice and bright, catches the eye, and it was really fun to make. So I hope you guys like this. Again, let me know below in the comments if you would A, use a bright color for your lettering, or would you go with good old black marker? And 2, do you prefer bunnies or cheeps? Do you prefer bunnies or chicks when it comes to your peeps? We'll get it together one of these days. Thank you guys for hanging with me today. I appreciate it. And we're going to try to make these lives a little bit more. You like it like this? I do too. Thank you so much. Please go back and catch the replay. Be sure to share this. Make sure you're following. We are going to make these lives happen a lot more frequently. All right, guys. Thank you. And I hope that you all have an amazing evening.